Hi, I'm Rachel Tepper-Paley, Digital Managing Editor at Wine Enthusiast magazine. Today, we're talking with Anastasia Tarasova, the founder of Bottles on Set, a product placement agency that delivers expertise in wine and liquor to film and television productions. If you've ever wondered how wineries and distilleries get their bottles featured on popular TV shows like Sex and the City, Succession, and White Lotus, that's where Anastasia comes in. She's worked on all three and more, earning her clients coveted airtime and exposure. We wanted to pick Anastasia's brain to learn more about how it all works.
You're invited to a unique opportunity to travel through Italy without ever leaving New York City. Join us on Tuesday, September 10th, 2024 at City Winery for the premiere of Wine Enthusiast's Sip of Italy, an exclusive wine tasting event with authentic food and live music. You'll have the chance to taste wines from nearly 50 of the best wineries in Italy, all serving Wine Enthusiast's 90-plus point wines. Explore the varying flavors of Italy in one unforgettable evening. Don't miss out on this incredible experience. Book your tickets now and get ready to savor the flavors of Italy. Use promo code WeSip10 to get 10% off at wineenthusiast.com/events/sip.
Hi, Anastasia. Thanks so much for being with us.
Hi, Rachel. Thanks for having me. Super excited.
Let's start with a quick explainer on what it is exactly that you do.
Great. I think what I'm doing in a very simple way to explain it is that I'm a matchmaker for brands and films. What means that I exclusively focus on beverage and alcohol industry and integrate brands in films and shows worldwide, as films and shows are produced worldwide. And in every scene, as you imagine, in every scene, in every film, we have characters enjoying a drink or open a champagne or closing a business deal and celebrating it with whiskey. So those bottles, when we see them on screen, there are many ways how they can make it to the film. And I just help them, brands, to find the most accessible way to appear there. And also I help filmmakers to find the bottles that are accurate, that add culture, that add depth to the characters. And just simply help with the realism, because when we as viewers see brands on screen, for some it can shout, oh, that's product placement. But for some, it really adds the understanding of who is this character if he drinks that exclusive wine and there is a story behind. Or who is that character who just prefers only beers and has a particular lifestyle? So that's briefly, yes.
How common is this role that you play? Like, is this something that is a new sort of role that you're helping pioneer, or are there a million people that do what you do?
You know, I discovered it, and why I created my agency because I know many people specialize on understanding beverage and alcohol world. Speaking about that, Wine Enthusiast is the whole media platform for talking about this category of products, right? But in particular to the film industry, of course, there are different agencies that specialize on product placement. We know product placement exists 50 years ago, probably, with different types of product categories. But in particular with beverage and alcohol, I see that there are not so many that focus exclusively on their types of products. Usually it's a combination of tech and cars and fashion and food and beverage and alcohol and accessories, home decor. So for me, I really value expertise. Being with a background in marketing in our industry, I really value expertise, and our products are so regulated in some markets. And I'm coming from Eastern European market. I was Bacardi and Martini brand manager already 10 years ago, yes, in Moscow, what was it back then was a hub for Eastern Europe. I know how regulated our industry is. And in the films, for example, how often we see that bottle can be a weapon, right? Or we see overconsumption, or we see underage drinking. Because unfortunately, in some ways, it's the reality we have in life. And films bring us to that reality, to get the emotional connection to the character, to the story, to be involved in the storyline. And I was, in particular with product placement as a marketing director back then, worried how come that if I give them, I mean production, a bottle of wine, it will be used with elegance, with all the, good light, without any negative verbal mentioning of if the character likes the product or don't like the product. So where is that guarantee? Where is this confidence? And this is where I really value the expertise behind the product which we work with, to know particularly what we can and what we can't do, if that answers your question.
Yeah. I think that people are probably familiar with the idea of paid placement, where a company pays to have their products featured in a TV show or movie. But what you do a lot of is organic placement. Can you tell me a little bit about that and how that's different?
The whole form of organic product placement was fascinating for me before I jumped into that business, because I assumed that the only way a brand can appear in the film is with a certain very good connections in Hollywood on the highest levels, or as a paid integration. When we think about, let's say, James Bond and Heineken, it was a very highly discussed topic, right? When he started to drink beers, where are martinis? And Heineken got a great placement, of course. It's absolutely well done. But I was thinking about all those products that appears, and I realized that, yes, there is such a thing as organic product placement when, let's say, brands donate products to productions to help them shoot the scene with the products that it requires, but also get the exposure, which is absolutely beneficial for every brand, of course, if it's placed right and correctly, and it has timeless views. How often we can rewatch the film, right? And it's forever. It will be after all we are gone, and people will still continue rewatching the films. So organic product placement, if explaining it in a very easy way, is when productions looking for products to add realism, to add depth to the character. And sometimes the production is not even allowed to do paid product placements with some of the streaming services, streaming platform companies. It's absolutely their policy not to use paid product placement, because they also don't want to be into look super commercial, right? We all know about those scenes when the product is very prominent on screen, and it kind of distracts the viewers very often from the main story. So organic product placement helps to integrate the product in the scene without making it very forced, that, the viewers must notice that brand, must read the label. It's still there. And why I personally prefer organic product placement for my clients and for my brands when I was a marketing director, because of that, I think, curiosity drive. Now with the progress of streaming, we can just pause and look at the label, or just get the idea. Like, for example, one of my projects was within Just Like That, the Sex and the City reboot. For season 2, we used in one of the scenes where Sima comes with a gift to her hairdresser, and she brings tequila. And tequila is not even shown as a bottle, it's shown as a box. So, and her line is, do you want this top of the line tequila or not? So that automatically connects. Oh, okay, so that's a tequila in that blue box. And the next thing we see, people Google, what is that tequila in the blue box? And just like that. This is organic. This is where nobody said the name of that brand. Nobody put it in, right close-up shot that you definitely can recognize the label. But still, it got so much of interest and curiosity, and in the same time, without distracting people from the scene, they were still there. Oh, okay, she brought an expensive gift and he's accepting it as an apology and everything is fine, and it helped them to build a relationship back. That's the scene. And it was perfectly done. I don't know if I can name the brand though.
I like that as product placement as character development.
Character development, yes, absolutely. It adds a lot. When I receive parts of the script where it says that our 2 characters have dinner and drink wine, and a request from the production could be, can we have some wines? Me and you, we know what it means. For me, it's the moment, one of the most exciting parts of my job, because I'm like, wow, there is like so many. And then I start to dig deeper, and then I start to understand, okay, who are the characters? Where are they eating? At home, restaurant? What are they eating? What is the type of the restaurant? High-end, casual. And that gets us so many variations of what wine they can drink, right? So that's the most exciting part for me. And this is, I think, also the most exciting part for filmmakers, because when I said that I'm a matchmaker, I do all this work. So, they focus on, okay, I need to build that restaurant. And they focus on, building the restaurant, dress up the set. And then I send them the proposal of, let's say, 5 different wines based on the information I have about the scene. And they discuss it sometimes with production designer, sometimes it's the art department, I think, common meeting topic, or sometimes it's the director. And they give me a feedback, and then we nail it to shortlist, and then we nail it to one. So that's organic, means you really match it with the character, with the product, and the beauty about it, which is the most part I didn't say, is that it's not paid. So it's the product donation from the brand to the production to help them make the scene look real. And for the brand, it's of course beneficial because they have a chance to appear in one of the high-profile TV series or films. And, the beauty about it is that 90% of brands we see on screen are placed organically, like shows like Succession, The Last of Us, The Morning Show, you name it. It's almost every time when the brand is not quite obviously placed, it's organic.
I mean, we at Wine Enthusiasts can tell you that whenever we see a product, maybe not, it doesn't even have to be prominently placed, but if it's a part of the scene, we're all at our computers. We're just trying to figure out what is that, what is the film trying to say by putting that wine or that spirit, in the scene. So it's so interesting to hear about how it all happens behind the scenes. You mentioned before that you worked at Bacardi. Can you tell us a little bit more about your background and how you got into this?
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I already did a mixed up of my past experience, jumping from one to another. And that's exactly how I got it. Like, I was sitting on the couch with my husband, watching some TV series or films, and he's in the bar industry. So he also has his eye on all the bottles and all the cocktails. So we are together. For us, it's a distraction anyway, because we just have our, professional eye. And then we are saying, why this bottle? It's 80s, but the bottle is from this year. No, that's not right. And we started to, discuss it. We even pause it. And the same as you say. And I love, by the way, there was articles about Succession, about the jobs of God. So it was just amazing how I like that, the investigation part, what wine enthusiast puts in talking about some appearance in films and shows. So, and I was in Bacardi Martini 10 years ago. I was working there for around 7 years in Moscow. So worked for Martini brand, for Bacardi brand, a bit for Doers. And that's where I would say, background comes as my school, really, of global brands. And actually now, when I'm thinking about it, I am super grateful to all the legal restrictions we had, because it's a dark market. What dark market means for the alcohol industry means you can't show any human in advertising. You don't have outdoor, you don't have TV, you don't have radio, you don't have even internet was semi-regulated at that point. And without having any human, everything what was available for UK, for US markets, we couldn't make it. So we had to be creative, and we had to find a way how to position our such as social drinks as, Bacardi, Martini with aperitivo, without showing any human touch. So now when I think about it, it's just such an experience of keeping your mind always creative in finding other solutions, how to market your brands. And then with the family, we moved to Miami, where I shifted from spirits to wine. And I was marketing director for more than 3 years at Italian wine importer Ethica Wines. They based in Miami, but they cover global markets. They cover Canada, Asia Pacific, as all Italian wines come from, obviously, Italy. We had a beautiful portfolio, and I was working with my team on more than 50 brands. So imagine that we definitely want to grow the awareness of these wines. And some of them got amazing ratings, by the way, with Wine Enthusiast. And we collaborated with Wine Enthusiast. And we collaborated with markets, of course, on-trade, off-premise. But how saturated is wine market, right? We have so many producers, so many great wines. And we were just Italy. So imagine, yes, the whole world and all the brands existing, and we are competing basically with all the brands. So, and one day I received a call that Succession TV series was filming in Italy, season 3. And they asked for help with wines. And I'm like, okay, but I don't have that budget to work with Succession. I am like, I have 50 brands here, and we need to, make it work. And then that's how I learned about organic product placement. And that's how I learned that actually productions appreciate when the product is complementing their story and their characters. And that was the first connection when I realized that, oh, okay, so we definitely can collaborate and create something beautiful here. And after that, with the same contact from HBO, Jennifer Bidwell, who I deeply respect, and she's been my, I would say, mentor since then. She also sent me a request for In Just Like That. At this point, it was season 1. And then we placed Safredi wine by Fattorini Pupille there in one of the scenes. And this is how it all, started to grow in my mind, that it's just a beautiful collaboration between wineries or spirits producers, beverage, and filmmakers who don't have time to do the research, who don't have time. I mean, yes, there are people who are wine enthusiasts there, who know wines, who know spirits. But sometimes the scene requires deeper research, like, let's say, period films, right? When it's the 60s or 50s. How we can match the right labels, the right wines with the right location. Was it exported if it's USA, for example? And this is my background. Sorry, I guess it took way longer than maybe needed. But this is the story that comes from passion to business.
And you do a lot more than just like putting the bottle in, right? Because like you're also like helping make sure that even when the characters are, well, the actors when they're in a scene don't actually drink the alcohol, and you're helping those scenes where it's actually not real alcohol, you're making that look real too, right?
Yes. And thank you for noticing that, because it's really important for everyone to know that no actors drink alcohol. I mean, there are stories on the internet, somebody was drinking, somebody not, but no, the official rule is that nobody, we can imagine they do like, I don't know, 50 takes on one scene where they drink. How come they can continue working after that if they really drink? So yes, the part of product placement for alcohol, not for beverages, but for alcohol products like wines and spirits, it's important to note that every time we see, let's say, whiskey pouring or wine pouring, and in the same scene, the actor drinks it, that's never a real product. And that's where I help for my clients. Whenever we send the product, I always send a photo and a sample and a color reference to the product so prop masters can create a similar liquid, which is drinkable, of course. There are so many regulations on, being the actor is vegan, sugar-free, I don't know, some additives free and all of that. So prop master is a genius in that, and my deep respect to their work. But which is, by the way, one of the ideas I think to work on. To when I send the product, I also send the substitute, which is absolutely, matching the color, matching their viscosity, like the product as a non-alcohol version of that, which is now, by the way, with the non-alcohol category growing so fast, could be even easier at some point. So besides placing the product, which is already a lot of work, because talking about, for example, period films or that example with the wine in the restaurant, right? There is a lot of research. There is a lot of matching, and I'm particularly very precise on those details. That's where I think I really enjoy what I'm doing, because the attention to detail, which I remember in the past I was kind of judged, I would say, working in the marketing, you can really get attached to some details too much. But anyway, now it helps. So I'm really careful about what product I send to what production, because of the authenticity, because of their character profiles and periods and locations and stuff like this. So besides doing all of that work with the check and on both sides, on film and on the brands, I also, make sure that it is enough. Because unfortunately, with some of the products, being generous for brands in general in product placement is like very important. If you want to position and to build your name among filmmakers, generosity is the way. Because we can't build a wedding scene with 5 bottles of champagne. No, we just can't. We can't pop a bottle of champagne and send just 1 or 2 and expect that the scene will be amazing, because there could be so many takes of that scene to just make it right in terms of the final product, how we see it, a final film. So sometimes it's really my understanding of, okay, can we do a 60s label mock-ups and secure, 50 bottles like that? Or then sometimes we just send the artwork and the reference to the production, and they can build the mock-up based on the references we provide and do the movie magic. So this is a lot of that work. And also my job is not just to position and to place the product in the film. What is the name of my agency, Bottles on Set? It's not the end of it. Of course, the follow-up when the film is released, that's actually a big part also of my work, to make sure that my clients get all information they need. And also what I provide is a media report. So we do evaluation of how much time it appears, What was if it's visible, not visible, I mean the logo, the label, recognizable, how many people viewed that episode, and then what is the media value. So all of that is the final report, what I provide to my clients when basically the job is done. And then what I also do, we do evaluations the next year because the viewership grows. It's unlimited views with the product placement. And we evaluate next year to see how much media value we grow based on the viewership of TV series and film.
Do you have any favorite projects that you've worked on, like examples of placement that you're like, yes, that really worked?
Definitely, yes. First of all, every project is exciting because there's a story of how that bottle made it there and what was the pre-production work. And sometimes maybe it's not for viewers something significant, but for me it was like something outstanding, as was Holiday in the Vineyards on Netflix last Christmas. And the request came to me like basically I had 1 week or 2 weeks to deliver almost 100 bottles. And that was intense. And that was a lot of late hours. I mean, in my work now, there's not late hours, it's just hours. And then seeing that and matching the product right to the scene and to the character, because it was a film where they tried to give awareness and attention to small winemakers in California. So, for example, the J. Briggs wine that appeared there were a perfect match because they are that private winemaker who are just growing day by day, year by year, and their appearance in the film presented exactly the way they are was just the right placement and the right moment for the winery and for the characters and for the film. So as a result of that, they got so many views on the website, so many people tagged them on social media without them being very loud of appearance. Yes, they made a post on social media, but the beauty about it is when you get recognized, right? When fans share it, when you see new sales, when you see new followers. And this is very rewarding for me, especially to see how my clients get that recognition. And that's what I'm working for. And the same with it, just like that. The example I shared before with the Blue Box, which was a Casa Dragones tequila. And many people send them notes, and we can see on their Instagram comments on, I knew that was you. So that's something what builds recognition, builds diversity also on screen, because placing new products, placing brands that never been on screen before is something that we show through films and TV shows, the reality, because we have so many beautiful wines and spirits. And I think sometimes we lack that diversity on screen.
Totally. What happens when a brand is portrayed in a not entirely positive light? And has that ever happened to one of your clients?
Thanks God, not. I mean, it was one scene which I particularly, when I saw that, I'm like, no way. For me, it was like, okay, I'm ready for that call to apologize or like to accept that, yes, it's not perfect, but it was the contrary. So the White Lotus season 2, which so many people were watching in 2022, if I'm not mistaken, it's just beautiful because it's Italy. It has that, appeal to so many people who love Italy for that vacation mood and just the dolce vita. So the wines we shipped there, they were Sicilian wines, Altamora. And I'm like really watching every episode, can't wait for the scene to appear. And I'm like, where is it? Where is it? And then there is a scene where Portia, if you know who is the young assistant, she had a date with Jack, if I'm not mistaken, of the character. They had a date, escaped to the city, and there is a morning when they wake up, and there is wine. Ta-da! But what we see Jack's character totally naked on the bed. And I'm like, oh my God, so that's it. That's it. My career is done. I'm like canceled. And I was definitely thinking, okay, that's like a negative light for the brand because of the nudity. And they woke up. I mean, they had fun last night. There's nothing shown about like super overconsumption. They had fun. But that part with the nudity, I immediately thought that for the wine, it could be like so not acceptable. However, after some time when I talked with the winery, they loved it. So many people noticed that. So many people compliment that. Diego, who is the owner of Cusumano and Altamora, he said, that's what we need. We need that bold characters. We need that amazing young energy. And I'm like, oh, okay. So that's fine. And this is where, I see it as something because, with the wine world, we kind of imagine it's in a more traditional, conservative, like dinners and gifts and, I don't know, shopping occasion, or I don't know, you're in business class, you're in some sort of elegant occasion. And then I was so relieved and happy that there are brand owners who are bold enough to go and be, realistic that yes, how often sometimes the scene is not perfect. And that's why we love films for not being perfect. Films are not commercials, right? In films, we can see very disturbing scenes. In films, we can see something absolutely not polished. And that's why we love it, because it gives a emotional connection to us of our lives and our stories. And sometimes wines are in those stories. So I'm super grateful, and it's always fun to work with brands that are very open to different perspectives.
Speaking of expectations, is that something you work with clients on? Like how much is even in, their control? Is that like something you talk about with clients beforehand?
Yes, absolutely. So guarantees is the part which I cover right away, because as we mentioned, the part how the alcohol industry is restricted, I always filter the scenes through the script, through communication with the production of the every negative light that can appear in that story. And if there is even a bit, I won't proceed and I won't be able to deliver them anything, because that's my reputation, first of all, and I don't want my clients to be portrayed in a negative light. And usually with the productions who work with professionals, they are well aware of what wines and spirits wouldn't like to be portrayed with in terms of like violence or underage and all of that. So this is the first, let's say, filter. And then I definitely prepare them for their nature of the film, on the nature of filmmaking process, because as much as we all expect that the bottle will be immediately stunning and beautiful and recognizable, sometimes it's about the angle, it's about the light, it's about the editing process of their, like, for example, in Succession, they could film for 2 hours. The content, like the episode is 2 hours, but they have to cut it to 1 hour because this is the length of the episode. And so many scenes not even get into the final cut because of other more important storylines to tell. So that's what I also prepare my clients for, not expecting, let's say, paid product placement type. That's what we talk about, organic, that we need to be aware that we donate the product for the opportunity to appear on the screen. This is exactly as it is, and I'm not trying to, sell the overnight success here. I'm absolutely transparent, and I'm happy we have an opportunity to speak about it, because that's definitely maybe a misconception could be with product placement, that whenever you ship the product, it's automatically will be in the best light. I always tell my clients, I'm realistic and proactive. Realistic part is that, yes, your product can appear. And my part is that it's used on set. I don't send samples just, for the film team to enjoy. I send the products when I know that, yes, there is a particular scene, a particular moment where this particular product can help, can shine. And that's when it works. And then in the result, yes, I don't have control on that. There are so many people who are involved in the editing process and the final cut that, it's just we need to accept it and we need to be proactive and go on. And one product placement appearance, I don't think can change the brand, but on repeat constantly, like with any brand messaging, right? It's just about the repetition.
What's the most rewarding part of your job for you personally?
The rewarding part, I would say, is to build that diversity I mentioned, because sometimes I see that so many well-recognized, of course, brands appear in films and TV series, and at the same time, the reality is that we have way more diversity now among the products available for wine enthusiasts, cocktail enthusiasts, and for home bars. So diversity part is definitely it. And make it accessible, I think, for brands of all sizes. Because as I mentioned my experience, I thought product placement is only for elite, let's say, for those who can afford it. And having that part of the organic product placement really make it accessible. It's just a matter of understanding how to make it. And wineries and spirit brands, they can do it in-house, absolutely. Or they can hire an agent, or they can build relationship with Hollywood and productions will reach them directly. And with some of them, it really happens. And another part is, I think that this is my maybe ego speaking, with adding that depth and culture, like helping actually film industry to discover some products that could make their stories more realistic and more deep and add the right personality to the characters. And the other part are fake labels, those that I want to step in. And this is where it makes exciting for me personally. I think that's my marketing professional inside of me is looking for some other opportunities to build brands. And another example I can give you about the fake brand is, if you remember film Glass Onion, a Knives Out sequel, there was Jared Leto's kombucha, and they were all drinking it and they were all enjoying it, and there's a whole story about it. So that went viral like immediately. There were like 3 million search right away, and everybody were asking, okay, what is this kombucha? Can we buy it? Jared Leto probably got interviewed about it. So this is the part where, for those negative scenes, when we definitely don't want to use realistic products and portray them in a negative light, the fake labels, they just shine. So this is another exciting part, which I'm stepping in to create bottles that don't exist in real life, but can be used in the film industry to play some dangerous scenes, let's say.
That's so funny. It's really amazing. Like, if you watch any kind of media, there's so much behind every little detail that you don't necessarily think about. So thank you so much for sharing all of this. This is so fascinating. Thank you so much for coming here and chatting with us today.
Thank you, Rachel. It was a pleasure, and I'm glad to open up a curtain a bit to that part, which I think is fascinating. Maybe I'm too nerdy for film productions, but it's definitely exciting to see how it becomes real.
Definitely. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
When you notice a wine or spirits bottle when watching your favorite television show or movie, chances are that's no accident. When done right, product placement can support or even enhance storytelling. It might even inspire you to go out and buy a bottle. We want to know, has that ever happened to you? Email us at podcast@wineenthusiast.net and we might share your feedback on the podcast. We love hearing from you and appreciate your support. Please rate and review us wherever you listen to podcasts. Remember to visit us at wineenthusiast.com for content and products that bring your love of wine to life.